I want to go up. I want to be Vancouver Giants.
I'm a Giant.
Giants coverage lives here with Giancarlo Nadeau. This is your Giants coverage podcast.
Welcome back, Giants fans, to another episode of Giants coverage. Right now, I'm truly delighted and honored to be speaking with the former director of media relations and video coach for the Vancouver Giants. He also created the jerseys for the Giants that the fans have grown to love, the gold uniforms. And I'm speaking with Jamison Derksen. Jamison, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. How are you doing?
Doing well, Giancarlo. Thanks for having me on the pod here.
No problem. It means a lot to me, Jamison. As you know, I know we've had to do a couple scheduling issues there back and forth, but it's great to have you on the show. I just want to know, Jamison, what got you into hockey?
I don't know. It's just like so entertaining and so fun. I don't know. Like ever since I was a kid, all I wanted to do was either play hockey or collect hockey cards or watch hockey or play NHL 99 on the computer or whatever it was. Like I feel like my whole life I've only really ever wanted to do hockey stuff.
Right on. Well, it was sort of a perfect career then for you to jump on with the Vancouver Giants. But before you jump on with that team, you're sort of a fan of the team. So what made you want to cheer for the Vancouver Giants?
Well, I'm actually not local to Vancouver, so I'm from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. So I grew up around the Western Hockey League, but initially my rooting interests were with the Saskatoon Blades, for better or for worse. And I don't know. There's a few years where there was a bit of hope, but never got anything done while I lived in Saskatoon. But then when I went to Trinity Western in Langley, BC here, I just like was a university student. I wanted to watch hockey. I like kind of knew the guy that was running the like game day like volunteer crew at the Giants games. So I just volunteered. My first year I just came and I was part of game crew, so I was doing like promos and stuff like that, helping out with that. And
No,
then,
for sure.
so kind of I kind of really just cheered for the Giants because that was the team that I got involved with. I didn't really like, sure, they had Bowen Byram and stuff like that, and they were like a super good team, but like there wasn't really anything prior to my involvement with the Giants that necessarily made me a fan of them, I would say.
Well, right on. I mean, having a guy like Bowen Byram certainly going to help you out with that choice. But also, I mean, from Saskatchewan yourself and the Giants being in BC, I'm sure there wasn't too much hate between the two teams. So I'm sure it wasn't a hard choice for you to jump on board with the Giants either.
Oh no, it was exciting whenever I got to go to a Blades game, and it was any team from out west, whether it was a BC division team or a US team. I felt like it was like something special whenever I went to a Blades game, and it was a team from further away than Prince Albert that I got to see.
Right on. No, I certainly agree with you. So you talk about your first year with the Giants, that year coming in the 17-18 season. Obviously not the greatest year for the G-Men. You talked a little bit about what you were up to there, helping out with promotions. Did you ever think that that would be a start of a 6-year career for you with the Giants?
Like in the back of my mind, that was always a possibility, and that was kind of like beyond just like getting to go to games for free, which like is a big draw for a college student that likes hockey. Um, that was kind of something that like I certainly was thinking about because like I wanted to work in hockey. I was a year away from graduation at the time, so it was just like I don't know, like I definitely like tried to leave a good impression on the people around the Giants, and apparently I did because it ended up turning into an internship the following year, and then I was full time after that. So
No, right on, exactly. And that next year, the 18-19 season for you, you finished up your leadership and your management bachelor there at Trinity Western, getting your degree. You also continued to serve the Giants organization. You were the office administrator with them, events coordinator during the summer of 2019. That was a big summer there for the Giants. Obviously, Bowen Byram getting drafted in June.
okay.
What do you remember about all of that stuff?
Well, yeah, like it was a super exciting time to be involved with the Giants because like that was right after they had made the run to the finals, right? So had countless conversations with random people on golf courses or whatever about, oh, like come out and watch the Giants. Like we were literally one goal away this last year, and we got like one of the guys at the top of the draft. Like it was just like it was a perfect storm, like perfect time to try to sell a team like that, right? So like kind of getting my feet wet in like such like a positive situation was like really helpful.
No, for sure. And Bowen Byram, that's the guy that keeps popping up here. Jamison is the guy that helped you cheer for the G-man there, helped you sell some tickets for them as well. Another thing helping the Giants sell tickets, though, were your jerseys. We're going to get to that a little bit later on in the show because I just absolutely love them, and I know a lot of the fans do as well. But I want to ask you about that 18-19 season. Obviously, a special year for the Vancouver Giants going all the way to the finals. And I've asked players this, I've asked fans this, and staff. What's one game from that season, that regular season, that showed you that the Giants were capable of going to the finals?
I mean, probably it was against PA. I don't actually remember if they won that game or not. But
Yeah,
like
we won that game. That was a January game.
yeah, I remember it was in January, and I remember like they were like the class of the CHL, and like the Giants were like they were good, but like they like weren't quite sure like where they kind of fit at that point in the season. They obviously like got real hot after that and ended the year quite strong. But at that point, it was like okay, like good team, kind of rolling a bit, but like this is the class of the CHL coming in, and we like showed up and had a really good game, and I was like, okay, like this team's got something a little more substantial, I think.
No, for sure. And it was a special one, Jamison. If you remember a little bit more, that was game that was on television there. It was the NHL All-Star weekend, so not any
Oh, I
NHL
didn't remember
games.
that.
And well, I remember it because it was being televised on TV. So it was across the nation. Everybody got to tune into that one. Prince Albert coming in as the top team in Canada. And the Giants, they took them down in their own house, a 3-1 victory for them. So it was certainly a big game. And, definitely a bit of foreshadowing there, Jamison, for the final series.
Yeah, I mean, the final series didn't necessarily go the way we wanted it to, and there was, in particular, that one game at home that was.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone that was involved will ever forget.
no,
Unfortunately, but I mean, yeah, like we showed we could play among the best, and it's interesting to think like what could have been, like how the Memorial Cup might have shaken out.
no, for sure. It would have been exciting. One goal away, as you said already, from getting there.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, Giants don't have very much luck when it comes to game sevens in the finals. Medicine Hat, obviously, taking us down. We did beat them in the Memorial Cup, though, but unfortunately, we weren't hosting the 18-19 one, so we couldn't quite do the same to Prince
You know.
Albert. But other than that, I know it was a memorable season for the team. I know for yourself as well. You served as the marketing and operations manager for the next 3 years. So the
Mhm.
1920 season, rather, that's when it began. But then
Yeah.
you also made the decision during the 21-22 season to take up the role of video coach and analyst. Why was there a big jump in that for you? Why did you want to jump into a sort of a different path?
So like I never really like when I was in university, like I was kind of like, yeah, I'm gonna get a degree and it's gonna help me. But like the thing is, like I want like my end goal is to like work in hockey ops, not necessarily on the business side. So um obviously the business side was what option was available to me after I graduated, and I was super ecstatic to stay in hockey, even if it was on the business side. But like right from the beginning, I told Dale Sipe and Pete Toigo like, hey, like eventually I would like to transition over to the hockey side. Um, and show you what I can do. I mean, like, I I understand that like I didn't play in the NHL, I didn't play in the WHL. Like, I'm just a big hockey guy. Um, so it took a few years of pestering from my end to kind of get that opportunity. But yeah, eventually, Pete Toigo and Barkley Parnetta and Mike Dick were like, all right, Jamison, like you're asking for it. Like, good luck. So that was like, yeah, like in like September or maybe late August, like 2 years ago, where they just kind of were like, okay, figure it out. Good luck. And just put my head down and tried to work with Dicker and Keith McCambridge at the time, and then Adam Maglio this year. Just kind of take a load off of their plate and help them with video analysis before, during, and after games.
Yeah, right on. Good stuff there for you. And that was a 21-22 campaign that you started doing that, Jamison. So a
Yep.
few years back. You were also with the Giants when they were in Kamloops for that bubble season. And Jamison, let's try and be respectful here, but it obviously wasn't the greatest environment for the Giants to be in. I know there was a lot of hotel walks there. What were you
Yeah.
doing to stay busy?
Well, actually, I wasn't in the bubble.
Oh, right on.
So I was a part of the Giants, but I was back home. Um, so I was at that point I was just doing like marketing and social media and stuff like that. So like I mean I was texting back and forth with Dan O'Connor quite a bit. He was in the bubble at the time. He was the media guy, play by play. And like Pete Toigo and Barkley Parnetta, like basically like generating content from afar. So definitely a shout out to Dan O'Connor for helping me getting some footage within the bubble, because that was something that was very limited during that time, obviously.
No, exactly. And you brought up a big name there for myself and for you as well, Dan O'Connor. How much of an impact has somebody like that had on your time with the Giants?
Oh, like I can't even describe. Like he's one of my favorite people in the world. He's one of the most like encouraging, kind-hearted like role models I could have ever had. He's been amazing.
Well, on behalf of myself and you, Jamison, if Dan was watching this right now, we're both big fans of you, Dano, so keep it going.
For sure. Absolutely.
Jamison, I'm going to ask you this question because I've had the chance to sit beside you at games. When you are the video guy, you're the video analyst for the team.
Mhm.
There's a lot of fans that haven't been as lucky, haven't been as, fortunate enough to be able to sit next to you during a Giants game. So what goes on for you as a video analysis guy? I know you got the microphone on, you got the computer in front of you. Can you just describe that role?
Yeah, so basically I'm basically cutting the game up to like into a bunch of small clips so that everything is like organized into folders for like quick review between periods for the coaches. That's like the main thing. So like it's called like coding. So like that's anything from like a forecheck to like anything that might be an offside, or to all the, like scoring chances for and against, whatever. Just because between periods, like we don't have a lot of time, obviously. So I basically rip down to the coach's office with my computer, give it to Mike Dick, and he goes through whatever clips he either like is like wanting to go through, or say something he noticed that like was happening pretty consistently against us, or like a place where like there might be a potential to like generate more offense or something like that. So like he likes to like pick something each like intermission to kind of key in on. And then we'd go through those clips. Either he'd go through them himself, or we'd go through them like me, him, and Adam Maglio. Or like if it was a really dire situation, we might go through it with the team, depending on what the clips were showing.
No,
Um,
exactly.
yeah, and then like me on the mic, basically, I have a radio in my ear, and actually I had two radios by the end of the year just to be safe. At the beginning of the year, I only had one radio. I was on radio with Adam Maglio, our associate coach. But then throughout the year, we added another radio for Brody St. Jacques, our equipment guy. So there's two ears that might hear me on the other end if there was ever something we needed to challenge for offside. Um, it'd be easier for me to yell at them, and they could pass that message on to Mike, and he could make the final call whether we were going to do that or not.
What was your winning percentage, your lucky percentage there if you spotted an offside and they told them to review it? How were you with the reviews?
I did not have good luck this year. Um, Last year, well, officially, sorry, my dog. Last year I had one overturned, and I had two that I tried to call down. But one was Keith didn't have the earpiece in, so he couldn't hear me. It was just like a freak accident that it was happened to be in a moment that he didn't have the earpiece in. And the other one, actually, I wasn't at that game, so I was coding from home. So for that one, I was phoning Brody, who had his Apple Watch on the bench or whatever. But the feed that I was on was about a minute behind, so play had already started. As for this year, there were two that I challenged. One was in Prince George, and the thing about the Western Hockey League is like there's not as many camera angles available to everybody. So I might not have the same camera angle that the refs have, and the refs might not have the same camera angle I have. And so for one, the one in PG, from my camera angle, it looked offside. But from their camera angle, they couldn't tell, and they didn't have access to my camera angle. So the goal against ended up standing, but they didn't give us a penalty. Which, if you challenge and you're wrong, you're supposed to get a penalty. But like they acknowledged that they didn't have access to the same angle or whatever. It was inconclusive. So the goal stood, but we didn't get a penalty. But the other time was in Kamloops, and that one, it right, it looked offside to me, but the angle that they had for the refs, I guess they decided it showed it was onside, but I never saw that angle. I still have yet to see that angle, so I still believe that it was offside, but it was deemed to be onside, and we ended up getting a penalty out of it. So that was not exactly the most fun conversation to have with Mike when I got back down at intermission there.
No, I can certainly imagine. But you also mentioned earlier on that you'd go down during the intermissions and you'd speak to him, you'd show him clips.
Mm-hmm.
After working with him for such a long time, did you sort of pick up what he wanted to see exactly, and when he wanted to see it? Or did he always sort of surprise you?
A bit of both. I mean, like, you certainly, the longer you work with someone, the more you kind of pick up on what they're looking for. So like there would certainly be like stuff that I would code that he wouldn't necessarily be asking for, but then I know he would come back to it later. In the moment, I mean, like, if it's really obvious when you're watching the game, you can see what's the big issue, then like you probably know what you're gonna be watching at intermission. But like, I mean, like, his mind is like so advanced when it comes to the technicalities and just the way the game of hockey works, that like he always kind of keeps you on your toes with what he's gonna be wanting to see at intermissions.
Right on. Well, that's good old Dicker for you there, Jamison.
Exactly. And with Adam, actually, I had since he's on radio with me technically, I had all my codes, like whatever, forecheck, offside, power play, blah blah blah. But then I also had a mags button that if it was a clip that either mags said like, hey, clip that on the radio during the game, or if I just saw it and I'm like, mags is gonna want to see that, then like I did have a mags button. I didn't have a Dicker button, but I had a mags button.
That's awesome. So that was part of your job last year. The other part, the director of media relations. What does that job do for you? What did you have to do with that sort of role?
It was a lot of coordinating with other teams' media people. So like making like stat packs and supplying rosters and coordinating like press releases, whether it be like announcements by our team or if like we make a trade or something, then I'm touching base with the other team's media relations person and we're exchanging photos and player information and stuff like that. Also like accommodating like interview requests and like media passes for Giants games and stuff like that. I also did a lot of our like meals. I didn't do hotel meals, Megs did those, but I did like meals at restaurants on the road, or like if we were getting meals either like post game in Langley, or if we were like getting something on the way out of Langley, then I'd be doing those. Um, I mean, coordinating all of our tickets, stuff like that. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of miscellaneous stuff that kind of fits into that role.
No, I was
It's
gonna
just-
say for sure.
yeah. So
Was
I'm a wearer of many hats.
was there a certain restaurant you like to chose, or did they sort of say, well, you have to pick this place, so you have to schedule this place right now?
Oh well. With the Giants, with our ownership with the Toygos, we certainly love our white spot. Um, we I'm on a first name basis with probably half a dozen white spot owners around BC. Um, I don't know, like it depends. You kind of have your places depending on where you go, right? Like every time you're in Spokane, there's this pizza place literally right across from the arena that's like perfect for a post game meal because lots of carbs or whatever after the guys, and it's usually at the end of our road trip, or like um, I don't know, like in Prince George, like there's like an Earl's there, like stuff like that. Like I don't know.
Good stuff. Well, Jamison, one thing you do know is that your jerseys were quite the hit. We're going to finally talk about them here. I'm going to share my screen with you. I want to pull them up so we can get a better look at them. So just give me 1 second here and I'll make that happen. Let's get right into it. Obviously a bunch of different things that you've done with the Giants, but I'm sure you'd make the argument that making the jerseys for the team was one of your favorites. I
Yeah,
love the jacket on the logo there, Jamison. What do you think about it?
I also love the jacket on there. I was advocating for that for a couple years before I was able to do it. Um, and I know it had been on like our like a few of our Christmas jerseys. It had been on the front, like kind of in a smaller capacity. Um, but yeah, no, um, I had a lot of fun early in my um, early in my marketing days trying to figure out how to use Adobe, and because I had no education on how to use Adobe going into it, I kind of just figured it out as I went. But um, once I like got used to it, I love trying to put together jersey concepts. Because I don't know, like I feel like alternate jerseys are fun to like refresh every few years. I know there's jerseys that are like considered classics, but like I feel like third jerseys are kind of like a fun opportunity to try something new or keep fans engaged. Um, and so finally, like going into our what was supposed to be our 20th anniversary year was the COVID year. Um, Pete was like, okay, if you can design something that I really like, then we can go for it for our like anniversary year. Um, so I at the time I think well I mean Vegas had the gold and Buffalo had gold in a jersey around that time. So I was like, you know what, like gold like actually looks pretty sharp and it hasn't been used a whole lot. Um, and like it certainly stands out a lot more than silver does. I find that silver on jerseys kind of just ends up looking white. So I went with the gold, and I wanted to go with like a classic striping. I went through a ton of different options, and that was kind of the one that Pete really liked, and um, then it went to Ron, and he liked it too. So that was that was the seal of approval that we needed to get that one rolling, and that was just the black one. I just had a black one envisioned. Um, and like I tried like creating some sort of logo like with a 20 in it for like our 20th anniversary, but it just like there wasn't anything that I was happy with. So that was what I was just like, well, what if we just take the jack head that we've kind of used for a few other things and let's just put it on the front. Um, there's like a little bit of detailing on the beard. So like it's a little bit more interesting than just like a flat logo. Pete wanted, he was like, well, if we're gonna do it, let's do a white version too. And I was like, okay. So, so it's the exact same but white, obviously.
No, it looks good. Which one's your favorite, the black or the white?
Oh, black.
I'll be honest, I saw the black a little too much at the LEC, so I'm a big fan of the white ones, but they're both pretty sharp.
That's fair enough. I know they got more of the black ones in the store. So I know the black ones sold out a couple times. I don't know if there was ever a shipment of the white ones in the store.
Yeah, those black ones, they sold out a couple times, and there was a point that when fans were only able to purchase one of them, because those were just flying off the shelves like crazy, Jameson.
Hmm.
I'd imagine there was obviously lots of trial and error. You sort of mentioned it with the logo, but as you were experimenting, trying to make these jerseys.
Hmm. Yeah, and like another thing is like even like things you don't even think about become like such a point of discussion. Like even like fonts. Like the amount of different fonts that we tried and like the coloring of the font. Like do we want like for example on this white jersey, like do we want the numbers to be black? Do we want the numbers to be gold with red trim? Do we want like there's so many different ways we could have went with it. Um and actually I wanted something that would match our like if you'll notice the name bars are the same font on both of our jerseys. And I did that kind of like um to help Brody St. Jacques out a little bit. Like I don't know if he like last year, like this year you can see on those jerseys it's gold, but last year the black jerseys had white text. And that was like to help our equipment guy if we like had to scab together a jersey if we traded for a guy and we were playing the next day or something and he had to put an emergency jersey together. Um, so I wanted to keep the font at the top the same, but I wanted to switch up the number font. So the one that I ended up using is actually the one that the Columbus Blue Jackets use on their jerseys, so which I think looks pretty good. So and it
Right on.
matches the name bars fine. So
No, exactly. And Jameson, being in the hockey market like yourself, there's a lot of hockey fans that don't really like change. There was a lot of change though with these jerseys. You guys introduced gold. You used the Jackhead logo as the primary logo, a brand new font, especially on the white ones. A lot of change in such a short period of time. Were you worried it was going to backfire?
eh, like not really actually, because I don't know. I just like I like them, and like that's the beauty of alternate jerseys is like they're kind of a temporary thing, and like not everyone's gonna love them. So like if enough people do like them, then great. If not, then you gas them for the next year and you get something else. So it was a pleasant surprise that as many people liked it as they did, but I wasn't like nervous that it wasn't gonna hit. I guess I don't know. Everyone I showed it to seemed to like it.
No, like I said, it's a hit for sure, and I don't think it was much as of a surprise. January 13th is when you guys dropped it on social media. There was so
Mhm.
much buzz around it. It was incredible. They flew off the shelves. At one point, like I mentioned, Giants fans only able to purchase one of them at a time. But I have a good feeling, Jameson, these ones are here to stay.
Yeah, I mean we'll see. Maybe eventually they become the main ones. I don't know. I don't know. It's tough because like they won the Memorial Cup and those other ones, so like it's tough to kind of ever let go of those. But
For sure. Well, Jamison, I appreciate you taking the time to speak with me today. It means a lot to me. I want to sort of get this wrapped up for you so I can let you get back to designing some more jerseys. May 29th, the team announced that you made the decision to leave the organization, pursue other opportunities. Who do you want to thank for your time with the Giants? What are you going to remember the most?
um, I mean, I kind of want to thank everybody. I mean, like it, everybody from Dale Sipe and Leah Garrett at the very beginning when I was volunteering and didn't know anything to Michael Dick and Brackley Parnetta and I mean Dan O'Connor the whole time. Like there's so many people that I could list and like it's been a great organization to be a part of for a few years. I think I'm just at a stage in my career where I it's just time for a change. I want to learn from new people. Um, I mean, I've spent half a decade learning from these people, and it's been fantastic. And uh, I want to kind of broaden my horizon and see who else I can learn from, and kind of go from there.
Awesome. And I know for sure you're going to have a bright future. What's next for you? Anything right now that's sort of sticking out to you?
Um, I mean, nothing really on the go right now. I'm getting married this summer, so that's kind of at the forefront of my mind. in the present. Obviously, I'm looking for employment at the moment. Um, I'm pretty open to moving wherever, so I'm not quite sure where I'll land yet, but um, yeah, I mean that the wedding is kind of the main thing right now.
Well, congratulations, Jamison, on your marriage. I know it's certainly gonna make you and your lovely fiance very, very happy. You're a great guy, and are you gonna be designing anything for that wedding, like you designed the jerseys?
I mean, like I don't know, like I designed like the wedding invitations and stuff like that.
There you go.
But
You got it. Well, Jamison, I appreciate you taking the time to do this, and it's always a pleasure to be speaking with you. Hopefully, we can have some more conversations as this podcast sort of continues here. But I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. Best of luck with your wedding and the rest of your future, my friend.
awesome, thank you very much. Appreciate you having me on. Appreciate your promotion of the Giants and your enthusiasm for this, and I wish you all the best in your burgeoning media career here.
There you go. That's Jamison Derksen, the former video analyst and director of media relations for the Vancouver Giants, signing off.
The Giants Coverage Podcast. Coverage with heart.